Hello, I'm here to talk about Epic Universe. You see, me and a couple of friends, their names are Matt and Laura, we went to Epic Universe in July of 2025, and I decided to put together this little video to talk about the amazing experience that we had there. So, welcome to this epic video of an epic review of Epic Universe. Okay, so anyway, disclaimer right up front. I didn't do everything, so if I missed talking about something that you want to hear about, I apologize. Let's just go ahead and get started with basically how you're going to enter the park no matter what, and that is through the main entrance. That's how you get through parks. That's just how it... Anyway, once you get through this main entrance, I'm going to be straight up with you here. This view that you get is phenomenal. It really sets the tone for everything this park is going for, and that tone is actually a mature one. And that being said, we are going to skip the rest of Celestial Park right now, alright? I promise you we'll come back to it later. Me and my friends, we stayed at a hotel, which means as soon as we could, we ran straight for an early entry attraction. So in this case, that is the Super Mario World area. Every land here has a portal. You probably know that already. The Super Nintendo World one is a little special because it's an escalator that takes you up to a second floor. There's a reason for this, because when you get into the land, you are greeted with an amazing reveal. I'm talking about a reveal that everybody has to stop and take pictures of. My point is, you start on the second level of this area and you get an amazing view of this land, and this land is so well themed. You genuinely do feel like you're stepping into the world of Nintendo. The reasoning for that is there's just so much happening all the time, so many animatronics, and even if you walk around and explore this space, you're going to see, like, for example, there's binoculars on the second floor that allow you to see down, but when you look through them, there's AR technology within them, so depending on where you look, you actually see things interacting with the world while you're looking through them. There's so many cool things like that in this world to discover that makes it feel just so much more fun. So we were just trying to kick out the Nintendo stuff right away, especially hoping for Donkey Kong to open up so we could be there right for opening for Donkey Kong. When we walked to the Donkey Kong area just to explore in this first little bit, we realized it was already open, so we just got in line. If you don't know, this ride is famously inefficient. The capacity for this thing is pretty low, which means that getting on it is a hassle at any point during the day. So we figured, hey, get done with it early so we can move on to the other rides, which are much easier to get on later on. And that was a very good call, because on this first day we were able to get on that ride within 40 minutes, and it totally is like a 40-minute line kind of ride, I'll tell you that. Look, I'll be straight up honest with you. This is a very divisive ride if you haven't known about it already. I thought it was fun and I thought it was cool, but it wasn't much more than adequate. So let me just go into the details as to why I say that. Let's get this out of the way first, though. It's a very cool concept. If you don't know, this ride makes you feel like you're jumping the track, which is something that everyone's always wanted roller coasters to do. So the concept here is cool. The execution is what's a little finicky here. It might work for you, it might not. It mainly works if you're in the front seat. If you're in the back seat like me, it isn't that noticeable because of the track system. The ride is also very jerky. It really jostles you around here and there. And honestly, I didn't mind that as much. So take that information as you will. Overall, I thought the ride was a good ride. I really liked the theming, especially with like that dark ride portion in the middle, where it actually really shows you how this illusion of the track being broken can really be used to a great effect. It's just, the ride is good, like the coaster as itself as a layout is good, but not much more than good. It's really the theming here that elevates it. It just doesn't elevate it enough for me. Moving on to the other main ride in this area, it's Mario Kart. Now, I will put a disclaimer here. This is one of the things I didn't do here. That is because I mainly live in Southern California, and we've had the Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge for a long time now, or at least that's how it feels. I've already ridden this ride enough. I will say the main difference between the one in Hollywood and the one in Epic Universe is the line. The line does appear to be a lot better in Epic Universe. The ride itself is what I want to talk about, which I will talk about because I actually really like it. This is another divisive ride. A lot of people tend to not like it because they're expecting like a high-paced ride, but this is just a fun, dark ride with aiming and shooting. Makes it more interactive. And on top of that, and this is the thing that is divisive, there's AR technology in here, so you put glasses on, you can basically see really cool things that aren't actually there because they're just in your glasses. And it really does give a great opportunity for mixing the digital and physical worlds here. Like, for example, there's a section where the Rainbow Road comes out in front of you and then you start to ride on it in like the physical realm, and that transition's beautiful. And I will say I absolutely love it because there's nothing like it, and it just feels so immersive and it feels so interactive. That being said, it is insanely overwhelming. You'll probably not get this thing first ride. Like, you won't comprehend it first ride. That's pretty much a constant criticism I've felt every time I've taken a friend on this thing. Just be aware, for this ride, it's an insanely long wait because it is also insanely inefficient. So you're looking at like 3-hour waits. That's what I was seeing. Don't think it's worth a 3-hour wait, but if you can find a way to ride it without waiting 3 hours, you should. Even if it's going to Hollywood, you don't gotta do it in Epic Universe. The last ride in this area is the Yoshi, I don't know what it's called. Look, I have a vendetta with this ride. I was looking forward to this ride because my favorite ride, well, not my favorite ride, but one of my most favorite rides is the People Mover. I love the People Mover, and I love the idea of just crawling at a slow pace around a scenic overview of the lands underneath you, and that's what the Yoshi ride looked like it was gonna be to me. So maybe this is my fault for trying to think that that's what the ride was gonna be like. But even if it didn't match that expectation, there was a lot to it that pissed me off, okay? Look, it's a slow-moving ride, and this slow-moving ride is somehow an outdoor ride. Yes, there's one dark ride section, but this is a dark ride that is outside. And when you're in the blazing hot July sun in Florida, that is not fun, especially when this ride keeps stopping. This is a ride that kept stopping while I was outside, so I felt like I was basically on a conveyor belt going through an oven, and I'm sorry, I couldn't hack it. There's an interactive element to try and distract you from being baked alive, and basically if you see an egg, you can press a matching egg in your car, and if you find all the matching eggs, you get a golden egg. Woo, cool. I don't care. Alright, I don't care. Maybe the kids will care. Maybe this is a ride just for kids. And you know what? If that's the case, awesome. For the kids, I don't think you want your kid baking in the sun either, though. So I just want to throw that out there. But basically, the ride itself wasn't engaging for me as a dark ride. It wasn't engaging for me as a surviving it in general way. Overall, it was disappointing and it tried to kill me. So I don't like the ride. I'm sorry. I'll just come out and say this is my least favorite of the rides in Epic Universe. There it is. Boom. Good job, Yoshi. You got it. Moving on. That is all the rides. So I do want to talk about food as well, though. So there is a Toadstool Cafe that is pretty famous amongst the Universal properties. It's a very well-themed restaurant experience. I did not have that experience here in Epic Universe. Once again, it's in Hollywood, so that's where I had it. And like I said, the theming is cool, but the food is just okay. So just be aware of that. I had like the burger, and there's mushrooms all over it, and there's mushrooms over everything because Mario, the burger's adequate, or was adequate when I had it in Hollywood and not on this trip. So I'm assuming that's the same case. That's pretty much everything I experienced in the Nintendo World area, and maybe it's because I've already experienced some of it in Hollywood. Maybe it's because Donkey Kong wasn't that engaging. Maybe it's because Yoshi tried to kill me. Look, it's my least favorite land. I'm not gonna save that for later. This is my least favorite land, okay? I'm sorry. You can get angry at me if you want to, but I wanted to start this video out on a little bit of a sour note so we can move on to the really cool stuff, because the really cool stuff is next. You see, I'm a sucker for horror theming, okay? I love horror as a genre in general, and this land is exactly made for someone like me. Oh my dear God. Oh my God, the Dark Universe. Sorry, I got so excited I hit my microphone. The Dark Universe section, or Darkmoor, is such a well-themed area. It really feels like you're stepping into a very gothic horror vibe, and you get that right away from the beginning when you're walking through this graveyard and you see things of like crypts that have been busted open and stuff like that, and when you turn that corner and you see the Frankenstein Manor, oh my, this reveal made me so happy to be in Epic Universe and in Darkmoor. it is just such a grand reveal into this cool town that feels, well, horrific. The land isn't just something you're walking through, it's something you're being a part of. And that's what every land really does very well here, besides Nintendo World. It's just really cool here just because I'm such a big horror fanatic. So without further ado, let's walk to that castle I was talking about, because in that castle is a phenomenal attraction, Monsters Unchained. Okay, now let's just get into it. This ride is fantastic just from the get-go. Once you walk into that manor and you start walking through this queue that's so well themed, full of Easter eggs, full of story exposition, and just full of really cool media. The story is Frankenstein's granddaughter, question mark, is capturing all these monsters and trying to make them good so that the name Frankenstein is no longer besmirched. And she's in the process of doing this and trying to finish her grand collection with Dracula. And in this queue, you actually see this journey of hers with video where she's actually capturing all these monsters and everything like that. All of this is so immersive and fun and engaging before you get on the ride. So when you get on the ride, it's just ratcheted up to 10, and it's so look, the ride is so good. It is creepy, it's horrific, it's technologically advanced. The animatronics in this thing are awesome when they're working. I will have to add that caveat here. Look, I love this ride. I really love this ride, but I clearly went at a time where the animatronics were not on their A game. That stems even from before I get on the ride, because I never got to watch this pre-show. The first day I went there, I got to basically walk right on through. I did ride this ride many times, so the second time I rode it that same day, I did get to see the pre-show. It was Frankenstein's monster and Victoria on the screens and not actually in front of me. If you don't know, there's supposed to be a Victoria animatronic here. The second day we went, pre-show just never worked. It was just flat out not working the whole day. Very disappointing. Really wanted to watch that pre-show in its full glory. And on the ride itself, I never got to see that final Dracula animatronic. It was broken every time, and he's always just in this funky position looking like he's like just not doing well at all. He was always just broken in some weird way. But either way, the ride itself as a whole, even with those broken animatronics, it's just a very good ride. It is so well executed, and the only criticism I have besides the animatronic thing is that I wish it was actually more intense. I wish that they rocketed you around in those kuka arms way more. I was really hoping for a more intense ride, but I understand why they wouldn't do that. It is what it is. As it is still a phenomenal attraction that is a must ride, and it's a reason to even go to this park in the first place. So next door to that is the Curse of the Werewolf, which basically is the opposite of the Monsters Unchained ride. This is clearly the cheapest ride they made in the park, especially because at the very end, I don't know if she was supposed to be an animatronic or what, but there is a literal mannequin that is supposed to be a character, but it's just a mannequin that's standing there and pointing at you menacingly. It's honestly really funny. I think it's a very I can't take it seriously, man. I can't take it seriously. I honestly think the ride is still a fun ride. The fun isn't guaranteed, though, because this is a spinning coaster, and if you don't spin, which appears to be the main way people ride this ride, it's not that much fun. If you do get a good spin like I got the first time I rode this, it is quite fun, especially in that second half after the swing launch. After that swing launch, the ride gets really fast and twisty-turny. So when you're spinning, very fun. The biggest criticism I have, believe it or not, for this ride is that the capacity is actually not that good for it. The line goes pretty slow because of that. And on top of that, and this is going to be a criticism you're going to hear a lot, the line was brutal. It's covered, but it's very switchbacky, and it's in a hot area that isn't ventilated well. It's a pain to get through, and this ride, because of that capacity, has a consistently long wait. Not that much fun. That's it for the rides in the area. I'm gonna be straight up with you. Darkmoor's kind of small. There's not like a lot of space dedicated to it, but they do make use of the space they have, especially with that Burning Blade Tavern in the back, because you can pretty much see this tavern light up from anywhere in Darkmoor, from a human perspective. We like things lighting on fire. We just do. It looks cool, and this thing lights on fire, and you can eat in it. You can eat in the thing that lights on fire. How cool is that? That being said, the food here wasn't that good. So the garlic steak is very garlicky. The cheese balls, which I hear are a fan favorite, they're deep fried cheese balls. It's standard. I can get it at a movie theater. What really makes this special is, besides the fire, is the inside is actually very intimate. It feels very like vibey, I guess is the word I want to say. You walk in there, you feel like you're walking into a nice, spooky, small, secluded bar. It's cool. I like it. So I would go in here for a drink. They do look like they have some good drinks here. I wouldn't know. I don't really drink. But just don't come here for the food. That's all I'm going to say. Also want to say that kind of goes for the other food place in this area, and that is the Das Stakehouse. You see, the theming in this restaurant is awesome. The theming, I'm going to say that up front. The theming is probably my favorite theming of a restaurant in the park. It's creepy. It's gothic. It's just cool. It's just the food does not match the quality here. It was okay. Look, I had the salmon, and it was okay. Overall, I really like the vibe of this land. I know that from everything I said, I sound a little disappointed with like the roller coaster and the food, but in general, this as a land is my favorite land just because I vibe with it so hard. Look, I'm biased, okay? I like horror, but it feels small and intimate and alive and so well themed. It really does feel like you're stepping into this horrific world, and that is especially true when you walk through it at night. Oh my dear God, it feels like a whole new experience when you walk into this land at night. It is the proper way to enjoy it, especially with how the lights are operating, and especially when that tavern lights up in flames. It's clear that the vibes in this land, look, put a vibe counter at the bottom. Put the vibe counter at the bottom, me. I've said it too many times, and I need to keep myself in check, okay? Look, the vibes are immaculate in this area. They really just are. So be prepared to be immaculate vibed here. Let's start talking about the next land over. That land being the one that everyone wants to know about and experience. And it's called Ministry of Magic. Look, I'm not a fan of the name here because the place is Paris, alright? It's not a Ministry of Magic, it's Paris, alright? Look, I get why they called it that way, but it bugs me because this is an amazing, amazing slice of theming in general, because once again, the reveal is cool here, but this reveal is a big one. You walk around that corner and you see a giant archway like that, followed by a very life-size old magical Paris. Either way, like, dude, it's so good. It's so good, and you feel like you are stepping into a real city corner, you know? Like, it's just so weird because in a way, it feels like you're stepping out of the theme park idea and you're stepping into just, this is a really cool city to walk around. You get stuck in that mentality, and I just really, really like how they pulled it off. It's so cool to just even walk around and see how interactive the whole thing is. There's paintings you can talk to. There's, just like every other Harry Potter land, there's things you can do with wands that bring out animatronics. It's so cool, and let's just get into the attractions now. There's only one ride, but there is one show that I want to talk about first, and that's Le Cirque Arcanus. I hope I pronounced that correctly. This is a theater show which has a lot of really cool animatronics in it. I don't honestly want to say too much about this one because this one is definitely better seen firsthand because there are a lot of amazing effects in it. There are literal magic techniques being used. Like, you almost feel like these actors are magicians because they're just pulling off some really cool effects in here. And there is one little spoiler I want to say because it was mind-blowing to me, so skip ahead like 30 seconds or whatever. Halfway through the show, the whole friggin' stage lifts up to a whole other stage. Mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Now let's go to the main event. It is the battle for the ministry, and this is obviously the big ride of the park. Everyone loves to go to this right away and spend 3 hours waiting in line for this thing. Don't do that. Just wait. Just wait till later in the day. You don't have to wait 3 hours for this thing. I waited 60 minutes. I just went at the right time. That being said, this isn't a ride that is bad to wait in line for because this is, hands down, probably the best queue in a theme park ever. It is like jaw-dropping from the get-go. You don't even have to get far into the queue before you start hitting the jaw-dropping moments. Everyone knows about how big the Ministry of Magic part of the queue is. Everyone knows, but you don't truly know until you're actually there and experiencing it, because wow. It is huge. They have a whole section behind the queue dedicated just to make it look like it's still, like the building still goes on. They built a whole statue back there that is, let's be honest, it's not full scale, but it's set up in a way that just makes it look like it's huge. And the rest of the queue is just really cool too. There's even an animatronic in there that's very fun. It's a very cool queue, and that also matches the very cool ride, because wow, is the ride mind-blowing in itself. The ride system is not easy to comprehend if you don't know what it is. So when it started bouncing up and down and moving around like a friggin' motion simulator, I was a little perplexed by how it was possible. And then the ride system kept surprising me over time. The technology here is fantastic, and it's not just the technology itself. The set pieces that this vehicle takes you through is just ridiculous. That's the only way to put it. It is absolutely ridiculous. The scale of some of these scenes are huge. The way the real things interact with the screens is like hard to comprehend, frankly. It is perplexing. And there is, like, straight up one of the biggest animatronics ever in this thing. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, they really went all out for this ride with every way, whether it's screens, whether it's physical sets, whether it's the ride system. They went all out for this thing, and it really pays off. This is probably my favorite ride in the park. It is absolutely fantastic. Probably one of the best dark rides in the world, if not the best dark ride in the world. The only ride I could say that matches this ride would be Rise of the Resistance, and I much more enjoy the system on this ride. It's just Rise of the Resistance also has an amazing, like, immersive quality that I don't know if the Battle for the Ministry really matches. It's just Rise also has the one thing that Ministry is lacking, and that is that Rise, out of these two rides, is the one that has the drop. Battle for the Ministry is a friggin' elevator vehicle that doesn't drop. And that blows my mind, because this ride is asking for it. That's the biggest criticism that everyone has with this ride, is that everyone expects you to have a drop at some point. The other criticism I'm going to have is there's like animatronics in the ride that have digital faces. There's a scene specifically where like 3 of the characters has this like face, and it took me out of it. There was also another part that took me out of it that I just want to mention. There's a scene where the Umbridge animatronic transitions to the screen, and it's supposed to do that by disguising the animatronic behind like some cogwheels. That didn't happen when I rode it both times. I don't know why those cogwheels were broken, but they were, and what ended up happening was you see the Umbridge animatronic T-pose in the dark, while the real version of her, that's a funny way to put it, the actress on the screen version of her starts, going. So you have like 2 versions of Umbridge there, one of them T-posing. It's just really weird. It was really weird, but I mean, it's forgivable, I guess. Either way, I love this ride. Even with those issues, I feel like this is actually the best ride in the park. That's it for the friggin' Ministry of Magic area. The only other thing I can talk about is the food, and I didn't eat any of it, sorry. I'm now going to talk about the Isle of Berk. So, Isle of Berk. Wow. All right. We talking about reveals, right? I've mentioned every reveal of every land so far, and this is going to be no different, because this reveal is the best one. Wow. You start out walking through this portal, and you are met with a stone tablet written with the monologue at the beginning of How to Train Your Dragon 2. It's cute, it's nice, but when you step around this stone tablet, you are greeted with the most living and breathing and huge land in the whole park. When you see this roller coaster shooting by, you see these giant, like, statues in the middle of a giant lake. It is dumbfounding how good this reveal feels, and you don't really understand it till you get there as well. It's just such a cool thing. So I'll go more into the land later, because this is the biggest land. This has the most going for it. So I want to talk about the bits and pieces within it before talking about it as a whole, okay? And the first piece I'm going to start with is the Untrainable Dragon show, because that is such a unique experience. And I mean, I'm a little torn on it, though. I'll be straight up with you. But a lot of people want to go to this park just to experience this show. You can really feel the amount of effort that went into this show. The technology here is just amazing. There's all these big dragons on stage, and there's all these cool costumes, and Toothless flies over the audience. Now, I like stage shows. I like Broadway and all that. And this right here, the Untrainable Dragon, is a stage show with songs and everything. And I will say, it's great that they have live singers too, live drummers as well. Really cool. But that's kind of where my mind was. I wanted to see that stuff. So when Toothless starts flying overhead and he's just flying for like 5 minutes, it's like, okay, cool. What about the story? What about the show itself? So that's just me. That's just me. But once, the story gets going, it's a pretty fluent show. It's just a lot of the songs that kind of go with it are just a bit too generic. I like my music to be, I don't know, more interesting, I guess I'm going to come out and say. Look, you're setting this show in a Scandinavian-ish folk kind of vibe. There's that word again. And your songs are like pop songs. They're pop songs. They're not really selling me on the theme, But, for what it is, it does a very good job. It's a very enjoyable show. Great way to get out of the sun, I have to say. Once you step out of the Untrainable Dragon, there is a boat ride next to it called Fyre Drill, which is the much needed water ride. Okay, this is the only water ride in the park, and I went on this thing wanting to get drenched. I wanted to get drenched so badly, and I succeeded. Yay! So for the most part, I enjoy the ride because of that. That being said, there really isn't much to it. It's just you're in a boat, you shoot water at things, you try to soak yourself or get a high score. I don't even know how they do the scoring here. I don't really care, honestly. I just try to get soaked. The one thing I will say is that you can totally shoot the people in the line. I really want to say that because I got shot while I was waiting in line, and I don't think they meant for that to be a thing. But as soon as I got shot in line, I needed to find out how to shoot people in line. And you have to do it just right. You might have to get just the right boat. You might have to just do it at just the right time with just the right pressure. I don't know what it is, but I was not able to shoot anyone in line, and I really, really wanted to. You have to do it right at the beginning of the ride. That's really the most exciting thing about it. It's just what I just said. So that's really, the ride's good, I guess. That's all I had to say about that. Let's move on to the next one, Dragon Racers Rally. This is a very, very interesting one because it is just a flat ride that's been placed in other places before. It's just themed to be, How to Train Your Dragon here. And the ride itself is fun. I like it. You really have to move your body and your wings to try and get you to flip because let's be honest here. You're gonna ride this ride to flip, right? If you're a crazy theme park nerd like me, you wanna flip these things, all right? You wanna send yourself spinning in circles while you ride this thing, and that's what I tried to do. And you know what? I succeeded. Not constantly, but I was able to flip 4 times by rocking myself, and one of these times I was straight upside down while going straight to the ground, and it was one of the coolest and terrifying feelings that I've had at a theme park. It's very cool. It's apparently very tough to do what I did. I've heard other people not succeed at all in getting even one flip, so you really have to do your research if you want that to happen. If you don't get it to happen, the ride's not that fun, especially because it's very short. You only get a few cycles before you're being brought back down. And in addition to that, here's the thing that made me only ride this ride once. It's kind of a pain to get on. The line is always fluctuating because there's 2 arms for 2 rides to go simultaneously, but they're always breaking down, so it's always running like at half capacity. When I was waiting in my 30-minute line, I watched one side go down, go back up, the same side go down, the other side go down, both go back up, one side go down again while I was waiting in line. It's obviously not the most efficient. Maybe I caught it on a bad day, but that seemed to be a very common occurrence between both days I went there. So I only rode it once, and it was fun for what it was, but it wasn't much more than that. So let's talk about the main attraction in this park now. That's the Hiccups Wing Gliders. Now, the reason I saved this for last is because this coaster goes around the whole land. Unlike Yoshi, friggin' Yoshi, disappointing Yoshi, this ride actually does take you as a roller coaster through so much of the land. You're banking left over the water, you're banking right over the water, you're being thrown under a bridge, you're going in circles. It's a fun time. There is a swing launch. Well, it's like a sort of swing launch halfway through that sends you like by the Dragon Racers rally ride. The second half of this ride is just honestly really twisty and turny, and the G-forces feel fantastic. This is a very good ride that doesn't feel too intense. So basically everybody can ride this ride and have a good time. It is so good. It's a very good roller coaster. I would say it is the second best roller coaster in the park, but I mean, there's only 3. You already know how I felt about the first one. It's a very good ride nonetheless. I loved it. Now, that is all the rides, so let's go through the food areas. I will say I went to the Mead Hall, and I didn't really buy any food. I did get the yaknog, which is a dessert drink, which was nice and refreshing, especially for how hot the day was. And I got the catch of the day dessert, which it's basically just chocolate mousse covered in a chocolate shell, and it's okay. There's a bunch of cereal and cookie crumbs underneath it, which felt weird. I don't know. It felt weird. Clearly, this felt more like a kid's thing. Me being a big kid myself, I was okay dining like this, but in terms of quality, it's not the best. It's not the best. It's just really simple. Is that the vibe of the... Oh, God, there's that word. The vibe is a very good one. The Mead Hall is a fantastic place to relax and just dine like Vikings. Anyway, moving on to the other location, the Spitfyre Grill is the other place we ate at. We got the mac and cheese cones there, which are one of the most popular food items in the whole park. They didn't even used to be at the Spitfyre, but they moved them there because it was so popular. Well, I could see why. When I ate this thing, I got the PB&J, which is not peanut butter and jelly. It is like pork, bacon, and jam, which is bacon jam. The meat's delicious on it. The cone that comes in is like an everything cone. It's very good. I will say, though, the mac and cheese is just okay, but it does the job, so I can't really complain. There's a reason why this thing is popular. But let's say the real star of this land, though, is not the rides or the food, though. It's actually just the characters and how alive it all feels. It feels so alive. There's these animatronic dragons everywhere. You can meet Toothless, which I didn't, but you can. And apparently it is a mind-blowing experience. You can run into Toothless's kids. They're little robots in dragon shells. They're just so cute. They're so cool. And Rough Nut and Tough Nut, I think that's their names. They're hilarious. Just there's so much happening in this land. It doesn't feel like you're just stepping into the movie. It feels like the movie came into our world. You know what I mean? It's like such a living and breathing environment that you feel like these people are just going to retire to their little cottage down the street, you know? And this is where they actually live. It's crazy. It's just such a crazy feeling that none of the other lands really have. Every time you walk around the corner, you find something new to be excited about. I only have one criticism of this whole area, and it's not even just this area, it's actually more of the park as a whole. There's like no shade in the Isle of Berk. It is brutal to walk around in the hot sun. You have to go into the shops or the Mead Hall to get out of it. Even all the lines are not enclosed. They are out in the sun. Sure, some of them are sheltered, but the airflow's not that good. It's brutal to wait in all these lines. I'm going to be straight up with you. And that does go for a lot of the park, too. Most of these lines are brutal. They are. And you know what? I'm going to step outside of the Isle of Berk. I'm going to talk about the park as a whole. Shade is hard to come by in the park as a whole. That's especially worse because most of the attractions are outdoor attractions. This actually leads to a huge problem where if it rains, this whole park goes down. There's only like 3 rides that really operate without the rain, and that is the Battle for the Ministry, Monsters Unchained, Mario Kart. Those are really the only rides that are like that, and of course you can go into the shows as well, but if it rains and you're in line for anything else, that's it. You're donezo. Sorry. That's a on-running problem with this park that I feel needs to be fleshed out with more rides. I also have to add on, regarding more rides, more water rides need to be added in. Fyre Drill is the only water ride in the park to cool you off, and it's clear that that is a much needed thing because that ride always had long lines when I was there. If you're in Epic Universe and on a hot day, you feel it. You really, really feel it. So that honestly is the biggest criticism I can have for the park. Because everything else about it is so wonderful. And we've talked about all the lands now, but that's not true, is it? No, I lied. There's one whole area to still talk about. I promised you I would talk about it, and I'm saving it for last for a reason, okay? I'm, of course, referring to Celestial Park, the main hub of the theme park. And to me, this is exactly what a hub of a theme park should be, because this area is so strong as a land that I would go here just recreationally. You know, like if you took every other land and got rid of it and Epic Universe was just this, you know, just Celestial Park, I would still go because it is such a cool place to be. And especially how it's set up, it's not like all the other Universal parks where everything is centered around like a circle, which makes getting from everywhere hard. This is that same circle, but there's pathways that go through the center that make crossing it a lot easier. In addition, those pathways in the center create pocket lakes, which have, like, from what I can see, like fountain shows in every single one. Look, this is an insane area, and it is so cool because not only is all that happening, but you are being blindsided by so many cool places to eat. These places are worth talking about. One of the first places we ate here is the one that everyone talks about. It's Pizza Moon. And there's a reason everyone is talking about it. It is an absolutely delicious and affordable place to eat. You can get a pizza that feeds 2 people for 20 bucks. So you're basically 10 bucks a person for one of the most delicious pizzas you'll ever find in a theme park. The one pizza that me and my friend Laura got was the Pizza Lunar. I think that's how they call it, which had ube crust. Are you kidding me? It's a purple crust, and honestly, like, you don't really taste the ube, but like the fact that that's a thing is crazy to me. And the pizza was delicious. It wasn't like just some standard theme park pizza. Like, it felt like there was love put into that thing. That's crazy to me. The Oak Star Tavern was the other place that I ate at. That was just a me thing because, look, I have to talk about this, all right? I gotta talk about this because it is an insane experience that I experienced. I went there when I was walking through the park alone, and I just wanted a nice little dinner, and I heard that this place had a slow smoked 14-hour brisket. That's insane to me to have something like that in a theme park, and I needed to see for myself just how good this brisket was. And the way that all these restaurants work is you just find a table, scan the QR code at the table, order your food through your phone, and then they just bring it to your table. It is such a great and very efficient way of ordering food. And the fact that I walked up to this table in this empty restaurant, scanned a QR code, ordered a slow smoked brisket, and had delivered to me in 5 to 10 minutes was insane to me. That is something that should not happen in a theme park. That brisket was the best thing I've ever eaten in a theme park ever. That brisket, look, I was burping up that brisket for 2 hours afterwards, and every time I burped it up, I remembered how good it tasted. And like, I dream about this brisket, all right? It's so good, and it should be illegal for it to be at a theme park. I'm telling you, the fact that I walked up to a table, scanned a QR code, and had that delivered to me within 5 minutes, that's crazy to me. I should not have that good of a brisket accessed so easily, all right? If I had a pass to Epic Universe, I would become fat off brisket. I'm telling you, that brisket was amazing. And also, I ordered the mac and cheese as a side, and that was really good too. But yeah, just look. I'm telling you, this park as a whole is insane, all right? The fact that that is a possibility of an experience, like, just look, go order the brisket. Please go order the brisket. You need to go to the Oak Star Tavern and order the brisket, okay? So let's go over to the rides now. So, Stardust Racers. We gotta talk about it, right? We gotta talk about Stardust Racers. The big bad boy on the block, okay? This right here is one of the best roller coasters ever made. I'm not gonna beat around this bush, okay? The layout is literal perfection. The fact that you start off launching into a top hat inversion and then double backing into a bunch of airtime hills before hitting a second launch that takes you into the better part of the ride. Like, it is crazy. It gets more insane than that. It shoots you into what is called the Celestial Spin, which is one of the most, oh my god, it's one of the most you can't even Look, I'm out of words, all right? That inversion is beautiful. It is one of the most astounding elements on a roller coaster ever made, and that's followed by one of the most beautiful, like, spirals of roller coaster cars dancing around each other. Look, this ride is leaving me speechless, all right? I'm not making sense because this is an experience that you can't find anywhere else. This roller coaster is phenomenal. It is a masterpiece. It is a masterpiece of a roller coaster, and I literally can't say anything bad about it, and I'm sure that anyone that rides this ride can say the same because the energy in the station is ridiculous. I've never seen so many people cheering every time a roller coaster car came back in from the ride. Like, the people riding it are applauding and being like hooting and hollering over how good their experience was, and everyone in the station is like looking up going like, yeah, look at that, that's awesome. You know, it's like the energy is palpable. I've never seen a roller coaster station like this before, and it's purely just because the ride is so good. I really cannot oversell how good this roller coaster is, and honestly, I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot here because I'm probably overhyping it at this point, but I don't care. I don't care. The only negatives I have aren't even negatives. If anything, one of those negatives is a positive. I'll get to that in a moment, because first I want to talk about the shoe announcements. They're constantly talking about how you should leave your shoes on while riding this ride. Your feet kind of dangle. I haven't seen anyone do it, but I'm going to assume that people are constantly taking their shoes off. Be aware that that is a very funny announcement that happens like every 5 minutes while waiting in line for this. That is my negative, I guess, and it's not a negative because it's kind of hilarious. But that's not actually the negative into a positive I'm talking about that I mentioned a few moments ago. What I'm talking about is that this ride, if it does go down, it's because there's like a limited amount of trains that aren't working or whatnot. And if there's a limited amount of trains, that means that the ride will not race. When we were in line for this thing, we heard that announcement. We heard the, all right, we're not doing the racing. So it's like, okay, it is what it is. We get up to the station, and we are watching the trains come in. They're coming in opposite of each other. It is what it is. So while we're waiting in line, we notice that the trains are starting to line up. My friend Laura actually started counting the dispatch times, as in, like, this train left 18 seconds after that train. And we were watching because as she was counting every time, that number kept going smaller and smaller. And we were thinking, oh, man, if we could like actually kind of delay getting into our train, we might actually somehow get these cars to time right to race. And yeah, look, when we got into our train, we purposely went a little slowly. And while I was doing that, I was watching the other station operating because the train was also starting to load. And oh my dear God, when I saw that other station put the thumbs up to release their train at the same time our station put their thumbs up to release our train, and we both released at the same time, it was the most magical goddamn feeling I've ever had at a theme park, okay? I was on cloud 9. I don't think you understand how good that feeling was to actually somehow end up in the right place at the right time to ride this ride as a racing coaster when I had never had ridden it before. That's right, that was the first time I rode Stardust Racers, and that was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had on a roller coaster, okay? The amount of tension that came in that moment in the station before launching was just so intense. There is something about this theme park, and I know that this isn't a thing that the park did on purpose. I know this just happened to be the luck of the draw for us. But the fact that a moment like that was possible makes this park feel magical, okay? And it's not just that. We rode that ride. We came off with a high that is indescribable, all right? And stepping off of that ride into a more darkly lit celestial park just emphasizes that magical feeling, especially because, and maybe you don't know this already, Celestial Park is magical at night. This whole land stays open an hour after park closing. If you're going to this theme park, you can just wait to do the Celestial Park stuff in the last hour, okay? It's totally doable. And it's magical because right at park closing, that 9 o'clock, usually at least 9 o'clock, they launch a fountain show that I didn't know about. I just happened to be there at the right time, okay? And this fountain show has all the lights in the whole land light in time with it into different colors, and the whole area gets washed in all these different colors, and it is so magical. It is such a cool experience. It's indescribable. I'm gonna move on to the last ride I haven't talked about yet, and that's the Constellation Carousel. Really? You're saving Constellation Carousel to the end? Yes, I am, because this is basically the best carousel of all time. Look, there's turntables within turntables. There's a nice lighting show when you're riding at night, and the music is just such a good, say it with me everyone, vibe. Yes, it's a great vibe. And it gave me my last magical moment I had in this park. Me and my friend Laura were literally the last people in line, okay? And we watched this carousel go like 4 times with the different songs that it's doing, and it was just fun to watch. It was nice to be there. But when we get on that ride, about halfway through, the thing stops. You hear a record scratch, and it's like, what does that mean? And then the thing started going backwards. This carousel started going reverse and played a different track. And me and Laura both turned to each other on our separate horses going up and down and just had that look of like, this is a thing that's happening right now, you know? This is a thing that I'm experiencing, that we are experiencing. And I literally could not have ended my night in a more perfect way. It will stay in my mind forever. It was a moment that really, truly had an effect on me. Constellation Park in general had an effect on me. And I can tell you that the Dark Universe is my favorite land. I can tell you that Isle of Berk is like the best land objectively, but Celestial Park is the most magical land. I'll tell you that right now. And I would kill just to go into that area again and experience that again. It really was great. I've talked about everything now. I talked about it all. You've listened to me for a full hour just basically gushing about this park, okay? And I'm gushing for a reason, alright? I'm trying to be real about everything. I really am. But this park is just too good. It is such a good park, and it is just in its opening year. It only goes up from here. This park made me feel things, okay? That I don't feel in other theme parks. And it will make me want to go back to Epic Universe over and over and over again. It is genuinely just a world-class destination. It is very much worth it. Even with all of its little glitches here and there, it is probably one of my favorite theme parks of all time. Just from tone alone, and just from the technological advancements, they just need to put more shade, man. Put more shade. Put more shade. Yeah. Dude, just... Epic Universe, man. It's epic, dude.